Hi everyone. This video walks through completing Packet Tracer Assignment 2.2.3.4, Configuring Initial Switch Settings. This Packet Tracer assignment is a part of the Cisco R&S Intro to Networks Cisco Networking Academy curriculum. Now, hopefully in this lab, or by the time you start this lab, you have already completed our first Navigating the iOS lab in Chapter 2. So once you have your files open again, you've got your packet tracer configuration window to the left, your instructions window to the right, and of course I also included the PDF instructions if you'd like to print those for your own benefit. Now, as you navigate through the instructions here, we start off with two PCs connected to two switches, and the two switches are also connected to each other. Now, just to notify or to go over the cabling, each PC is connected to the switch via a copper straight through cable, but each switch is connected to each other via a different cable. As you notice from the diagram, it is a dotted cable, which is a crossover. Like devices use crossover cables, meaning a switch to a switch, that's a like device. Different devices usually use straight through cables. Now, there are some other rules and cables that we'll get into later, but right now, that's kind of the gist of this lab. So we're going to click on S1 and click the CLI tab. Remember last lab, we actually had to use a console cable. So here we are able to go to the switch directly and click the CLI tab. Okay, so we're here where we want to type enable or EN. I'm going to shorten it up and type EN, hit enter. And now we are in privileged exec mode. Okay, first, they have you do a show run or show running config. I'm just going to do show run, the short command, and hit enter. Now what comes up, and again, you can use your down arrow, or I'm sorry, you need to use your space bar to space down, all right, as you go throughout this command is showing you what is available to configure and what has been configured. So show run is always a great step to start with if you have no idea what has been configured or just need to review what you have configured. So keep that command very handy. All right, so we notice here that we've got fast Ethernet 01 through 24 port names. So we have 24 fast Ethernet ports that we could connect the end device to via Ethernet cable. Those are the ones that everybody's used to plugging in your desktop computer or even your laptop if you have to plug it in to like a modem or a wireless router or something like that, or a switch. Fast Ethernet ports operate at 100 megabits per second. And that's kind of outlined in the Cisco Academy curriculum as you read through it. So we got 24 of those that we could configure. We have 2 gigabit Ethernet ports, 01 and 02. So you kind of see how they're named. Those operate at 1,000 megabits per second or 1 gigabit per second. As we continue down, we've got a VLAN interface that says no IP address and is shut down. That means it is not operating. Then we have a line con 0 that stands for line console 0. That is kind of what we did before where we connected the console cable. You can actually lock that line down to where it will prompt you for a password if somebody were to try to put that cable into your switch or router and start configuring stuff. It will prompt them for a password for security reasons. Down below that is another login option where you see line VTY04 and line VTY515. Now, let's say I was sitting somewhere on, let's just say a sunny beach somewhere, right? And I had some problems with my switch or my router. I could actually remotely log into it using a VTY line, is what it's called. It's Telnet or remote line. All right, and you don't have to use Telnet there. You can actually configure those VTY lines to be SSH, which is more secure. We will talk about that later as well. But just know the VTY lines are remote login access. Now the 04, what that stands for is a channel number. So every time you log in, if I'm the first person to log in, then I will be assigned, if you have this correctly configured, you have to set up some username and password information here. But if I log in correctly, the first person will be assigned channel 0, the second person channel 1, then channel 2, and so on. So this first one, 0 through 4, means that 5 people can log in simultaneously or at the same time. They would get assigned channel 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's 5 different channels. Now, that sounds like enough, but sometimes you may need more. So like the 515 would be channels 5 through 15. So you can have even more people logging in simultaneously. Now you could obviously restrict that even lower for security reasons. You probably don't need that many people able to log in at the same time, but you never know. Different rules and regulations for different organizations. So, but again, that's what those numbers are there for. All right, so that kind of shows you what is in the show run. Okay. It says which command will display the current contents of the NVRAM. All right, that is your show running configurations. What does the switch respond to with startup config is not present? You will be brought into a different mode altogether, and it may not even boot if there is no startup config there. Now, creating a basic switch configuration, you'll want to type in config T, which is short for configure terminal. And right now we just says switch, right? That's just a basic term, but we know this is switch 1. So to change that, we want to change the host name. The command is host name, and then whatever you want to type the command or the host name to actually be. So I'm going to type S1. You cannot type any spaces in a host name. So a lot of times what people use is like an underscore to separate different characters or something like that if you need one, or a dash. So host name S1, and you'll notice it changed from switch to S1. That's an easier identifier for when you log in, right? So the next thing we're going to do is, I'm not going to go to exit, I'm going to keep on going. All right, is line console 0. So line con 0. Again, that is when you connect that console cable, it will prompt you for a password. So under line con 0, I'm going to do password let me in. That is going to be the password. So the command is password, and then the option that you set is let me in, or whatever password you want to do. And you have to type the word log in. That forces it to use it. Okay. Also, you notice that it changes to config-line when you are in line console 0. So again, that's kind of the navigating part. You'll know where to type certain commands. So I'm going to exit back 1 to get out of the line console 0 configuration. All right. And it says verify that the console access is secured. So we're going to exit privilege mode. Type exit one more time, and you see now it's prompting you for a password. That's the one that we just did, which is LETMEIN. All right, and you notice now you have your prompt back. Okay, so I'm going to type enable again, and then config T to go back to global configuration mode, and it says enable password C1 $C0. All right, and hit enter. Now that is going to set a password for you to be able to get into privileged exec mode. So just to verify it, I'm going to type exit one more time. Okay. So let me in is the first one. Okay, just like before. Then when I type enable to try to get to global configuration mode, you notice it asked me for another password, which is the C1 $C0. Now I can get back into privileged exec mode. So you got two passwords. The first one that always pops up is the console password. The second one is always the privileged exec mode password. Okay. Now I can go back to config T and continue configuring again. All right. Now it says verify your commands. Let me exit back one. Well, let me show you a different command too. Right here, you notice I'm in configuration mode. If I want to do any show commands, you can actually type the word do, show, run, and it will still work with the word do there. So I'm going to go through and show you. Now it says enable password, and I've got that Cisco password there. It shows line console 0 and the commands I did for that, right? So you can see what has been configured. Now, One thing you'll notice is these passwords are stored in what? Plain text, not the safest way in the world. Okay. So to change that, you notice it says enable secret. It's a secret. That will actually replace this enable password one that's stored in plain text, and it is not stored in plain text. So I'm going to do enable secret, ITSASECRET. It's a secret. Hit enter. That takes place. Now, if I do an exit a couple times, all right, so I got the let me in password first, and then I'm going to do enable one more time. Now it's a secret, okay? Not the other one with the Cisco with the one and the $sign. That one is no longer active because if I do a show run here, you see the enable secret is set. Now you notice this looks like a bunch of gibberish, right? But that is because it is encrypted. Now, if both of these are set, the enable secret will take precedence and work over top of the enable password, even if you didn't clear out the enable password one in there. So the enable secret is what it's going to use. Okay. So I'm going to go back to config T. Now, if you want to encrypt all of the passwords that you possibly have in there, whether they're plain text or not, you can go through what is in step 8 here, okay, and encrypt the passwords, all of them, because you notice this line console one is stored in plain text too. So we do service password dash encryption, and you can use the tab key as you're typing, and if it knows what you're typing, it'll finish it out for you. So I hit enter there, and now I'm going to show you what it looks like. Do show run, and now you notice all my passwords are encrypted. Okay, so that's service password encryption. Now to set a banner, which is kind of like a login message, sometimes it's like a warning. I'm going to do banner MOTD, that stands for banner message of the day. And in quotation marks, you basically type whatever message you want to do. This is a secure system, authorized access only. Now, a lot of times Cisco will not grade that you've typed that correctly because there's no way to. It's not like case sensitive or anything, but it will grade that you actually set one. Okay. And that banner is displayed when you log in. So if I do like an exit all the way back out again, you see it says this system is a secure system, authorized access only. Now I type my passwords, let me in, and then when I do enable, it's a secret password once again. Now, from here in privileged exec mode, where you just have the pound symbol, I am going to type copy run start. This doesn't save the packet tracer file, but in a real world situation, this would save your configurations that you have done in your switch, so that if it were to accidentally, like a power off or something like that would happen, it would actually save those settings. So it's going to copy your running configurations, which all of you've done, to your startup. So kind of like to when it boots back up. Now you just hit enter here and enter again. If you don't do that, if it were to ever lose power, you'd have to reconfigure all that stuff over again. Now, obviously here we're in Packet Tracer. I also want you to go to File and Save to save this lab assignment, right? So you can submit it back to me. But again, in a real world situation, you still need to do copy run start. So that is good for you to do. All right, now we're at 42 out of 72. Okay, so it wants you to basically repeat some of this stuff over on switch 2. So I'm going to go through this one a little bit quicker, but we're going to basically do the same stuff. So enable config T. I'm going to change my host name to S2. It says protect access to the console using the let me in password. So line console 0, password let me in, log in to force it to use it. Okay. Configure an enable password of Cisco. So enable password C1 $C0 and enable secret, which it will use and take precedence of it's a secret. Make sure you type that right. Then configure a banner MOTD, authorized access only unauthorized access is prohibited and violators will, sorry, having a bad typing day, be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Okay, and then it says encrypt all passwords, so service password dash encryption. I just hit the tab key there to finish it out for me. Um, ensure that all configuration is correct, and then do a copy run start to say, do copy run start because of where I'm at. Now you could do exit and then type copy run start. Either way, it's going to work there for you. All right. And now finally it says we've got 72 out of 72. That means we have 100% completed for this lab assignment. All right. So to verify, again, just do a show run and you'll see all that has been configured. Okay. Now that completes configuring Packet Tracer assignment 2.2.3.4, configuring initial switch settings. So hopefully that gives you a little bit better idea. These same commands can be used on a router to configure host names, passwords, banners, message of the day, encrypt passwords, and saving your running configurations and showing your startup and running configurations. So just again, make sure you remember these. These will be important throughout all of your Cisco Academy curriculum.